My best friend looked at me and said, "Girls like her don't even know you exist." 3 weeks later, she kissed me at the 50-yard line while he watched. Brody and I had been best friends since middle school, but somewhere along the way, he turned into the guy everyone wanted to be, and I turned into the guy in the bear costume. He was captain of the football team with the jawline and the Letterman jacket, and the crowd chanting his name every Friday night, and I was the one doing backflips in a furry suit while people threw popcorn at me. I wasn't bitter about it because honestly, I loved being the mascot since I could be the funniest guy in the stadium, and nobody even knew it was me, but Brody made sure I remembered where I stood every chance he got. When the new girl transferred in junior year and joined the Spirit Squad, Brody called dibs before she even found her locker. She was the kind of pretty that made guys forget how to form sentences, and Brody announced he was going to ask her out at homecoming halftime in front of the entire school because that was exactly the kind of move he could pull off. What he didn't know was that Spirit Squad practiced right next to me, and she had already started talking to the mascot. It started small because she would wander over during water breaks and talk to me while I was in the suit, and I would do stupid bits that made her laugh so hard she had to sit down. She told me she liked talking to me because I actually listened instead of just waiting for my turn to speak, and I started looking forward to practice more than I ever had before. Brody's approach was the exact opposite because every time he talked to her, it was about himself or his stats or how many scouts were coming to games, and I watched her eyes glaze over. She started finding excuses to leave those conversations early, and she started finding excuses to stay longer with me. Then one afternoon, she sat down next to me on the bleachers and said, "Your friend Brody told me I should feel lucky he's even interested in me," and I felt something shift in my chest because that was such a gross thing to say. She asked me why I was friends with him, and I just shrugged because I didn't have a good answer anymore. The following week, she came to practice upset and told me Brody had been telling people she was obsessed with him and basically his girlfriend already. I wanted to rip the mascot head off right there and tell her everything, but I kept my mouth shut because I knew she would hate me if she found out I was Brody's invisible best friend. 3 days before homecoming, Brody cornered me in the locker room and told me he needed me to talk him up to her because she wasn't responding correctly to his game. He laughed and said, "Just tell her I'm a good guy, hype me up a little because it's not like you would understand how to talk to girls anyway." And then he said, "She doesn't even know you exist, bro, but she'll listen to the mascot for some reason." Homecoming halftime arrived and the stadium was packed with the entire town crammed into the bleachers. Brody had coordinated everything with the announcer, so when the halftime clock hit 0, the speakers crackled to life, and Brody jogged out to the 50-yard line holding a microphone and a bouquet of roses while the crowd cheered for their golden boy. The announcer said something about a special presentation, and Brody launched into a speech about asking a very special girl to be his date, and he called her name and waved for her to come onto the field. She walked out slowly with the entire school watching, and I could see from the sideline that she looked uncomfortable as Brody dropped to one knee like he was proposing to her in front of 2,000 people. I started walking onto the field and people laughed because they thought the mascot was doing a bit, but I kept walking until I was standing right between Brody and the girl he thought was about to say yes. Brody looked up at me with irritation and said, "Dude, get out of here, you're ruining it." But I just stood there looking at her. She looked back at me and I swear I saw her smile. So I reached up and pulled off the mascot helmet, and the laughter in the stands died instantly as everyone realized the guy in the bear suit was me. She didn't hesitate because she stepped right around Brody, who was still on one knee, and walked straight to me and kissed me while the entire stadium lost their minds. Brody scrambled to his feet and shouted,